Let me just say to you today that are leaving here, you're really not leaving, you're going to get a degree. Because you have completed this assignment in your life, you cannot recognize the value of dreaming dreams and seeing them realized. This is a great day. This is your day. Enjoy it. Now, it's my understanding from watching just a little bit of the game yesterday, the Boston Red Sox won. They won. They won yesterday, and you are winning today. So take a long, deep breath and take it all in. For tomorrow, you must be prepared to roll up your sleeves because the world is waiting for talented men and women to lead it to a better place. The world is waiting for you, for your leadership, for your vision, to help build an all-inclusive world community based on simple justice, an all-encompassing community that values the dignity and the worth of every individual, what I like to call the beloved community. Consider those two words, beloved community. Beloved means not hateful, not violent, not uncaring, not unkind. And community means not separated, not polarized, not locked in struggle. If we look around today, the most pressing challenge in our society is defined by the methods we use to defend the dignity of humankind. But too often, as a nation and as a people, we are focused on accumulating the trappings of a comfortable life. The big house, some new clothes, a shining new car, maybe one or two. But if you want a better, more just, more fair society, then you have to find a way to get in the way. You cannot wait for someone else to create change. You have to do it. You must make our society a better place. Through your own efforts, through your own action, through your own creativity, vision, you have to do it. Now, Marty didn't tell you that I didn't grow up in a big city like Lowell. I didn't grow up in a big city like Springfield. I didn't grow up in a big city like Boston or New York or Chicago or Atlanta or Philadelphia or Washington. I grew up on a farm in rural Alabama outside of a little town called Troy. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But back in 1944, when I was 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4, my father had saved $300, and with the $300, he bought 110 acres of land. And on this land, we raised a lot of cotton and corn, lots of peanuts, hogs, cows, and chickens. The new chancellor would tell you that if you come to Washington and visit my congressional office, if you happen to be in downtown Atlanta and visit my office there, the moment you walk through the door, the first thing the staff will offer you will be a Coca-Cola, because Atlanta is the home of the Coca-Cola Company. And Coca-Cola provides all members of the congressional delegation from Georgia with an adequate supply of Coca-Cola products to be made available to our visitors. Every now and then, I may have a Diet Coke. The next thing the staff will offer you will be some peanuts, because in the state of Georgia, we raise a lot of peanuts, and the Georgia Peanut Commission provides us with peanuts. I don't eat too many of those peanuts. I ate so many peanuts when I was growing up in rural Alabama, I just don't want to see no more peanuts. Years ago, I would get on a flight and fly from Atlanta to Washington or Washington back to Atlanta, and the flight attendant tried to push some peanuts on me. And I said, no, thank you. I don't care for any peanuts. Now, on this farm, I raise a lot of chickens. We raise a lot of chickens. I know here at the University of UMass, you're very smart. You're gifted. You're talented. You have these wonderful, distinguished professors, but you don't know anything about raising chickens. Let me tell you what I had to do as a young boy growing up in rural Alabama during the 40s and the 50s. And to take the fresh eggs, mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and wait for 3 long weeks for the little chicks to hatch. Some of you may say, now, Congressman Lewis, John Lewis, why do you mark those fresh eggs with a pencil before you place them under the setting hen? Well, from time to time, another hen would get on that same nest. And there would be some more eggs, and you had to be able to tell the fresh eggs from the eggs that were already under the setting hen. Do you follow me? You don't follow me, that's okay. When these little chicks would hatch, I would fool these setting hens. I would cheat on these setting hens. I would take these little chicks and give them to another hen. Put them in a box with a lantern, raise them on their own, give some more fresh eggs, mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, encourage the setting hen to stay in the nest for another 3 weeks. I kept on fooling these setting hens and cheating on these setting hens. When I look back on it, it was not the right thing to do. It was not the moral thing to do. It was not the most loving thing to do. It was not the most nonviolent thing to do. It was not the most democratic thing to do. But I kept on cheating on these setting hens. I couldn't save $18.98 to order the most inexpensive hatcher or incubator from the Sizzle Roebuck store, so I just kept on cheating on these setting hens. I used to get your Sizzle Roebuck catalog. As students, you're too young. As graduates, you're too young to remember. Maybe some of your parents or grandparents, maybe some of your teachers remember. The Sizzle Roebuck catalog, that big, thick book. Some people call it the ordering book. Some people call it the wish book. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. So I just kept on wishing. As a young child, I wanted to be a minister. And one of my uncles had Santa Claus to bring me a Bible, and I learned to read the Bible. And from time to time, with the help of my brothers and sisters and first cousins, we would gather all of our chickens together like you're gathered here today. And we would have church. The chickens, along with my brothers and sisters and first cousins, would make up the congregation. And I would start speaking or preaching. And when I look back on it, some of these chickens would bow their heads. Some of those chickens would shake their heads. They never quite said amen. But many of those chickens tended to listen to me much better than some of my colleagues listen to me today in the Congress. And as a matter of fact, some of those chickens were a little more productive. At least they produce eggs. That's enough of that story. Growing up there on that farm in rural Alabama as a young child, I tasted the bitter fruits of segregation and racial discrimination, and I didn't like it. I saw those signs that said white men, white women, colored women, white waiting. Colored waiting. On a Saturday afternoon with some of my brothers and sisters and first cousins, we would go downtown to the little town of Troy, to the theater. And all of us little black children had to go upstairs to the balcony. And all of the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why segregation, why racial discrimination? And they would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble. But one day, in 1955, at the age of 15, in the 10th grade, I heard the voice of Martin Luther King Jr. on our radio, and it sounded like he was talking directly to me. He was talking about a generation, another generation of young people, and those not so young in Montgomery, Alabama, responding to the call, standing up against segregation and racial discrimination. He inspired me to find a way to get in the way. And I decided to get in the way. I decided to get in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble. I remember in 1956, at the age of 16, going down to the public library in the little town of Troy, Alabama, trying to get a library card, trying to check out some books. And we were told by the librarian that the library was for whites only and not for colors. I never went back to that library until July 5th, 1998, for a book signing of my book, and hundreds of blacks and white citizens showed up. We had wonderful food, something to drink, signed a few books, and they gave me a library card. It says something about the distance we've come and the progress we've made in America in laying down the burden of race. So I said to you, as graduates of this great university, you must be maladjusted to the problems and conditions of today. You have to get off the sideline, get in the way, get in the stadium of life. You have to get in the way and make your voices heard. You have an obligation, a mission, and a mandate from all of those men and women who sacrificed before you to find a way to get in the way. Some of them gave a little blood. Some of them gave their very lives for this democracy. You must do your part. You have to find a way to get in the way. As participants in the civil rights movement, we didn't have a website. We didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have an iPod. We didn't even have a fax machine. But we had ourselves. We were prepared to put our bodies on the line to make a difference in our society. We just didn't wake up one day and decide to march on Washington, or to sit in at segregated lunch counters, or go on the freedom rides, or to march from Selma to Montgomery. We studied Thoreau. We studied what Gandhi attempted to do in South Africa and what he accomplished in India. We studied the work of Martin Luther King Jr. in Montgomery. And we really did believe that through nonviolent action, we could bring about change. And we did. We created what I call a nonviolent revolution, a revolution of values, a revolution of ideas. And today I hear some young people saying, nothing have changed. And I feel like saying, come and walk in my shoes, and I will show you change. The signs that I saw, those signs are gone, and they will not return. And those of you today will not see those signs. The only place you will see those signs will be in a museum, in a book, on a piece of film. We live in a better country, and we are a better people. So find a way to get out there and do your part. We've come a long way. We've come a distance. We made a lot of progress. The movement taught us that our struggle is not just a struggle for a few days, for a school year, but it is a struggle of a lifetime. That is what it takes to build the beloved community. If someone had told me when I was preaching to those chickens, if someone had told me when I was sitting in, being beaten, left bloody and unconscious at the Greyhound bus station in Montgomery in May of 1961, if someone had told me when I was walking across that bridge in Selma 42 years ago, March 7, 1965, and having a concussion at the bridge, that one day I would be standing here at the University of UMass at Lowell as a member of the House of Representatives, will say, you're crazy, you're out of your mind, you don't know what you're talking about. So get out there. Push. Pull. Don't be afraid to get in the way. Stand up and fight for what you believe in. And never, ever give up. Never, ever give in. Never, ever give out. Keep the faith. I want to close with a little story from my childhood that I think symbolizes the commitment that we must make to stand together in our struggle for change in America and change in our world. When I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva. And my Aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. She didn't have a green manicured lawn. Had a simple, plain dirt yard. And sometime at night, you can look up through the holes of the ceiling in this old house through the tin roof and count the stars. When it would rain, she would get a pail, a bucket, or a tub and catch the rainwater. From time to time, she'd walk out into the woods and take branches from a dogwood tree and tie these branches together and make a broom. And she called that broom the breast broom. And she would get out and sweep this dirt yard very clean, sometime 2 and 3 times a week, but especially on a Friday or Saturday, because she wanted that dirt yard to look very good during the weekend. For those of you who have never seen a shotgun house, don't even know what I'm talking about, let me tell you what a shotgun house looked like in a nonviolent sense. Old house, one way in, one way out, maybe a tin roof. Well, you can bounce a basketball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. But one Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers and sisters and a few of my fresh cousins, about 12 or 15 of us young children, are playing in my Aunt Seneva dirt yard. And an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought this old house was going to blow away. So she got all of us little children together and told us to hold hands. The wind continued to blow, the thunder continued to roll, the lightning continued to flash, and the rain continued to beat on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. And we cried and we cried. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation, my aunt had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other corner appeared to be lifting, my aunt had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never, ever left the house. As graduates at the University of UMass at Lowell, the wind may blow, the thunder may roll, the lightning may flash, and the rain may beat on our old house. Call it the house of Boston. Call it the house of the University of UMass at Lowell. Call it the American house. Call it the world house. We all live in the same house. Maybe our foremothers and our forefathers all came to this great land in different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. It doesn't matter whether we're black or white or Hispanic or Asian American or Native American. We're one people. We're one family. We're one house. Stay with the house. Don't leave the house. Hold the house down. Find a way to get in the way. Keep the faith and keep your eyes on the prize. Good luck to you.